2024 GMC Acadia got completely redone. It was smaller last year, it was bigger the year before that, and now it's the biggest of them all. And welcome back to Outsider Reviews. My name is Pat, and we've got Brian behind the camera, just a couple of military guys that like to do car reviews. We like to do them from a little bit more of an outside the box perspectives, not like all the other reviews we see. So if you like the sound of that, please press like and subscribe, as I will forget to remind you along the video. And you know, I'm a bit of a space head in that sense. So speaking of which, let's get back to the main event. We got the GMC Acadia AT4 trim right here. The badge is there. The red, hot red tow hooks are there. Yes, they don't match the red tri-coat paint color, and that's a little bit of a, you know, I don't like that, but you cannot go off-roading if your tow hooks are not hot red. Isn't that right, Brian? Facts. So that being said, this is the AT4, so it does have skid plates underneath. It does have 1.2 inch lift more than its other trims. Now that doesn't quite bring you up to 8 inches, which is a little bit of a gripe for me, because we reviewed the Honda Pilot Trail Sport not too long ago, and that one had over 8 inches of ground clearance, so that is a little bit, it's definitely gonna sting. However, underneath the hood, you used to have a couple of options, now you just have one. We have the 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with an 8-speed transmission that puts out 328 horsepower and 326 pounds-feet of torque. Fuel economy can be expected at 25 miles per gallon combined, or 11.3 liters per 100 kilometers. 5,000 pounds of towing is its towing capability, and it's because it's the AT4, the overall ground clearance that I alluded to is actually 7.8 inches of ground clearance. So as we can see, we got the C-shaped lights here. Definitely a lot of inspiration was drawn from the newly redesigned Canyon and Sierra. Definitely more of a truck look. And speaking of taking stuff from the trucks and putting it into the Acadia, here we have amber lights. They're not just reflectors, they're amber lights. Move it on down, because this is the AT4 trim. A pair of 18-inch wheels fitted with Goodyear, Wrangler, Territory tires, so you got that more rugged pattern going on over there, and it definitely is aesthetically pleasing, but also it gives you more rubber. So more rubber means more comfort for those rough roads, more comfortable rides, and it will affect your fuel economy, sometimes in a positive way, of having a smaller wheel. We're talking about the rim size and more rubber. Following through, we got your AT4 badge, and if you want to zoom out here, Brian, you're looking at an extra 10 inches compared to its predecessor in overall length. Width, it's an extra 4 inches in width, and I'm not that tall, I'm only 5'9", but it's an extra 3.2 inches of height. So that's definitely going to affect the cargo capacity, seating comfort, and all that stuff, which we'll get to a little bit later on. We do have keyless entry as far as touch button, but also on both doors, which as a family man, I definitely appreciate that, because sometimes I want to open my door for my kids and I want to be able to touch it, and it's not everybody that does that, right? Again, mean looking tire, looks great, and here's your gas cap. But speaking of gas or fuel, fuel economy, I said 25 miles per gallon combined, or 11.3 liters here in Canada per 100 kilometers combined expected fuel economy. And I've been doing roughly, I did 300 kilometers of driving on the highway and about 250 in the city, so almost a 50-50 split, and I'm about 9.5 liters per 100 kilometers, and some will say I'm not the most conservative of driver, so I'm actually going to say that these numbers are quite conservative. You can actually achieve them, surpass them, beat them, and more cash in your pocket. Here we have the back end. Now we do have a nice flat, bold back end, not rounded off like the previous generation. And again, more of a truck-like SUV. GMC stamp, Acadia, all-wheel drive, and it tells you which trim it is right here. Definitely looks good. We also have quad tips, so basically 1 tip ratio per cylinder, so That's great. And as far as towing capability, now we do have a cover on it. You just remove the cover. You have 5,000 pounds of towing, so it's more towing than the previous year. Definitely a plus. Not best in class, but it's still pretty good. Also new to this year, one thing we used to hate, and we very seldom showed it when it had that feature where you would kick below, because it would work maybe 50% of the time and we just look like a bunch of idiots filming ourselves trying to kick open the tailgate. This year we actually have a new feature from General Motors where you just walk up to it and it opens. So you walk up, standing behind the back for maybe like a second and a half, then you start hearing a beeping tone and it opens up. Definitely convenient. Now, if you can always use the button as well if you want to open up. And inside we have 23 cubic feet of space with all the seats up. We actually have a large amount of space as well underneath here. Brian, you can actually see how you can actually store quite a bit in there. It's not small by any standard. Now with the the third row folding downwards, you actually have 57.3 cubic feet of space, and with all the seats down, you're looking at 97.5 cubic feet of space, which is definitely pretty good. It's not class leading, but it's definitely a lot better than the previous year. We also have some tie downs as well. Everything lies down flat. Works just like a charm. But let's go see how much space you have when you're actually sitting inside it. And now it's time for Brian's favorite part of the segment. Let's see if Patrick can get his wide frame to the third row without making him laugh too damn hard. So essentially access is just like this. You pull this lever and it goes all the way to the front. Let's go 2-point of entry. 3 points of contact at all times for safety. And once I'm back here, I'm gonna pull the seat back. And I do fit. This wasn't so bad, not too hard. I appreciate that I have ventilation back here, which is really good. I got some vents tucked in back here. I got one cup holder and one cubby, as well as USB-C plugins. 33.5 inches of legroom. Now, I pulled the seat all the way back. So the people, in the second row, if they feel like being nice, they can always adjust the seat and pull it forward. As far as seat comfort, now, this has 3 sets of seat belts, but we wouldn't be able to fit 3 of me back here. 2 would basically be the max. However, I'm pleasantly surprised that I do fit. Yeah, it's quite nice. And headroom, pretty good. I have lots of headroom. I'm in the second row and I'm way more comfortable. I mean, the headroom is actually quite impressive in this vehicle. It's got to be those extra 3 inches that they added to the previous model year. That being said, this being the AT4, you got a little bit of plastic and soft rubber here, but you have some other kind of materials here and soft materials on the side. I think they really did a good job with material choice for the doors and actually the overall interior, especially when we're going to go to the front. That being said, you got your regular kangaroo pouch. I got 39.6 inches of legroom. I'm 5'9". Like I said, headroom is ample, and captain's chair is actually the only configuration that this can come with. So that may be a downside for some. I actually prefer captain's chair for my family, but that's going to be your personal choice. Also, one thing I do like, so you got your cup holders here, which you actually see in full-size pickup trucks. They always have the cup holders back here. And I said to Brian, I think when we reviewed the last GMC pickup truck, is why don't they implement this into SUVs? And here it is. You see it here, but you can actually fit a regular hockey sports bottle in the door as well. We do have the Bose sound system with the AT4 upgrade, so that's definitely good. We got heated outboard seats. Now, the back seats, the third row, doesn't have heated seats, but like I said in the past, we don't really care who we throw in the back row, right, people? I'm obviously kidding, but you do have tri-zone climate control, so the people in the second row can choose the climates for people in the third row as well. Great controls, as well as a 120 regular 110 outlet and 2 USB-C and a little bit of storage right underneath that as well. Overall, I'm quite comfortable and I can recline these seats quite a bit, so you can actually be very comfortable in whatever position you choose. Finally where I belong, the driver's seat. Let's face it, the guy my size doesn't like to be in either of those rows back there, but the second row was really spacious. Now, out here, even though, like 41 inches of space, so need I even talk about that? Lots of space. But as soon as I got in this vehicle, I took a moment of silence, and I'd like to acknowledge whoever the interior designer is. Thank you. Like, no piano black to be seen, other obviously the screen portion, but no use of piano black. Like, it took a long time, but you guys nailed it. Thank you, GM. You finally did it. So instead of piano black, they went with this grayish fabric that you'll see a little bit all around, but it kind of looks like, you know, tire markings, doesn't it? Like tire tread kind of pattern, and I think it looks pretty darn cool. And more importantly, as a family man, I think it looks like it won't scratch easily by just brushing, like, I don't know, a gentle feather on it like piano black would. So enough about my little rant about piano black. Let's talk about the functionality as well as the design. The design is actually amazing, very functional, very easy, and you have some tri-stitching into the door. So basically I get 3 different colors of stitching. I got red, I got brown, I got a little bit more of a lighter beige kind of colored. I got a mixture of fabric. Now, I'm not a fabric or material specialist. I don't know what they're using. I just know that it looks great, and it looks like it's gonna last. It won't scratch, which is what you want as a family man, because kids don't really care about stuff even if you tell them to. Now over the side here, I got my parking brake and drive modes. I like that I have a hard button for drive modes. Some vehicles are putting it into the screen, and that is just, to me, dangerous, because you can't change it on the fly. You have to look at the screen, press a button to enter drive mode, and then select your drive modes. No, don't like it. So as far as drive mode, let's go right into it. Right here, I've got my tow haul, so 5,000 pounds of towing, pretty good. I got my terrain. I got my off-road. Now, what's helping me in this off-road to make it more off-road worthy? Well, I got an active torque control with twin clutch rear differential. So it's not just regular all-wheel drive, and I absolutely love it. Sports mode, normal mode. So what I mean by that is because you see some vehicles that, you know, have like wilderness or trail sport or whatever trim that is more off-road worthy, but then there's nothing other than regular all-wheel drive. So the twin clutch that can deliver up to 100% power to one wheel. If you only have one wheel that has traction, it can transfer 100% of the power to that. So with that system, that makes it more worthy of the off-road name. Now, it doesn't have 8 inches of ground clearance. Like I said, that's my gripe about that. But that being said, it's pretty good. It's a good system. Now, right here we have the 11-inch digital gauge cluster. So you can customize it. You can choose your view. So right here I have the Google Maps. So Google built-in integrated maps, definitely good. But also have wireless Android and Apple CarPlay. So my next view is actually of my widget, whatever I'm using on Android right now. It's Waze. And here you got your driver assist. Speaking of driver assist, Super Cruise. I gotta love Super Cruise because we drive 300 kilometers just to drop these vehicles back on the highway, and that's kind of every week. It's a painful drive back and forth, back and forth. So Super Cruise always makes it that much easier. Now you gotta check to see if it's mapped, but they're adding roads all the time to the Super Cruise function, and is the best hands-free driving assist. It'll change lanes for you. Obviously, you still have to pay attention. That's why it's got sensors here to look at your eyes. So if you're playing on your phone, it's gonna warn you, it's gonna beep at you, it's gonna flash a red light, it's gonna tell you to wake up and pay attention. And last view is the gauge here. I got my trip information, I got my music information, my kilometers, 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, all the information you're gonna want. And let's talk about General Motors quality of the screens. Both screens crisp, and the graphics looks absolutely amazing. Definitely one of the best, if not the best, in the biz. Now, steering wheel, so you got all your advanced cruise control right here, and you get your music option, your heated steering wheel. So in, you know, phone buttons, like hard buttons, everything really intuitive. Speaking of intuitive, the shifter, it's a column shifter. So pull towards you, down for drive, pull towards you, up. So you're gonna pull towards you, up for reverse, sorry. So you're gonna pull towards you to change that from drive to reverse, to neutral and park. You wanna press on the side here. Like I said, intuitive. I don't need to look at it. I can look at what I'm doing and go, bam, reverse. Now that I am in reverse, another great thing about General Motors is the amount of cameras they have, and as well as the quality of the camera. Everything, it looks really good. As far as backing up, you can use the grid or not use the grid. You can do overhead if you want. Boom, trailer mount, side view. And this is our front view, which comes in pretty handy if you're off-roading. Now I'm just going to put it back in park. And since we're paying attention to this, 15-inch screen. And I will say, after experiencing horizontal screen and vertical screen, mostly Fords that I experiment with, the Ranger, the Mach-E, the Ford Mach-E, and the horizontal ones, the 33-inch screens from the Cadillac Lyric, from the Cadillac XT4, I can tell you that I've made up my mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I prefer the vertical screen. I prefer the layout of it. I like having my map right here, but all the other options are here. I got my music here, I got my weather, I got volume. So you get a floating volume knob, very similar to what Ford's doing with the Mach-E and such. And it's convenient. You also have, right behind here, the steering wheel, you got your music, changing music here, and your volume here, as well as your paddle shifters here. So they've maximized everything to be easily accessible and having a choice of going through the screen or having hard buttons. HVAC, look at these toggles. You want to activate the defrost, there you go. They're just nice firm toggles, and changing the fan speed and such, everything is very easy. So you have touchscreen and a mixture of these levers or toggles, whatever you want to call them. Now the only thing that doesn't have a combination of buttons and screen function is right here. Headlight control. You can only control your headlights via the screen. Again, that's not a positive, but you also have access more control. So your fog lights as well, you would have to go through the screen to access the fog lights, and then you got your cameras for when you're off-roading and such. That camera thing is not so bad. The headlight things, you guys tell me how you feel about that. I particularly would like to have a button right here on the side, right next to my drive modes and all-wheel drive. So you have your all-wheel drive on and off button also to the side. Now, I also have a heads-up display, and I also have a question for you guys, the viewers. Heads-up display, is it a must? Personally, because I drive so many press vehicles, like every week I change vehicle, I've grown to not even, I don't pay attention to it as much. I want to know if you guys, a heads-up display, is it a must? Or is it something that you don't really look at? So comment below, heads-up display, must, or heads-up display, no. I want to hear your feedback. Moving on here, we got lots of opens. So the column shifter, like Brian pointed out, opens up so much space. So a big wireless pad, wireless charging pad here, charges pretty good. It's non-stick. You know, put your phone there, it's gonna charge. I also have a USB-A, USB-C port, and some storage here. Large cup holders, and I have a bin underneath. This is what the electric column shifter opens up for right here, is underneath. And speaking of the screen, one thing, so I have my Google built in, like I talked about. Google built in, really handy, really responds really well, really fast. There's no lag in this system, which is, you know, something that we used to deal with in previous vehicles, and they seem to have narrowed down software, make it nice and responsive. But you do know that using Google built-in navigation comes with a subscription fee after a certain time. So wireless Android and Apple CarPlay comes in very handy at that point. That allows you to save up some money, and I'm very glad that you have the options in this vehicle, because there are certain vehicles, the Chevy Blazer EV for example, you do not have the option, and I think that is a big miss. So, and wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay all the way here, good to go. So overall, I'm very comfortable. I like that the seats are nice and wide because I am a wider frame person. I mean, I'm vertically challenged but horizontally blessed. So, and I didn't mention, there are some manufacturers that, you know, it's tight here. It holds on tightly. And these seats don't do that. They have a lot of room for me to grow and breathe, and whether that's a good thing or not. And the fabric, if you're looking here, I got perforated, so ventilated seats, but look at this fabric here. This feels like denim. I don't know if it is. Like I said, I'm not a fabric specialist or a material specialist, but I can tell you that these are different types of fabric. So they've used many types of fabric. Definitely everything feels good to the touch, feels tough and rugged, just like I would like to have my vehicle. It's like they went into my mind and nailed everything that I ever wanted in the interior. But did they nail the driving? I mean, is that 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, turbocharged engine, is that gonna cut it? Let's go find out, take it for a rip. All right, so I'm about to drive, and here I am in the well, it's a gravel road, which is perfect for this AT4. Now, I did take this vehicle light. We're talking very light off-roading, more like, you know, some dirt trails kind of thing. And it performed as expected. I mean, it's got great traction. It's got really good shock absorption. But yeah, let's try the sports mode. Have it in. Let's listen to that injured purr. Okay, so the engine doesn't quite purr as much as is as it I don't know what the sound would be for this. But it is the downfall I came up with is the engine doesn't sound the most attractive. I'm in sports mode. I don't really need all-wheel drive, so I'm just gonna turn it off right now, so you can do it on the fly, no problem. But where this vehicle does shine, absolutely blows my mind away actually, is how it absorbs shock. Like, we're talking potholes, we're talking, you know, speed bumps and such on the road itself. Now, off-road, that does translate obviously to absorbing pots and obviously uneven roads like dirt roads like I'm on right now. That's just gravel. But I'm just about to go hit the pavement here, because that's what 90% of the time you're going to be driving. And if you are to do a little bit of light off-road, so be it, but you're pretty much going to be using this vehicle on the road for the most part. All right, let's go on the road. A little bit of slipping. So you can tell with 328 horsepower, 326 pounds-feet of torque, that power is not the issue. That, again, when I'm talking about the sound of the engine, I'm just explicitly talking about that. As far as power, like, it has power. It'll cause slipping if you really hammer it down, and if you're in two-wheel drive like I am right now. And that tells me that obviously this will get up and go if you need to. I have my Goodyear Wrangler Territory tires, so obviously it's not street racing tires, but what I love about between the tire and the 1.2 inch lift that this has and the 18-inch wheels is this. This is a mountainous road. It's a little bit more winding, but it's definitely filled with a lot of bumps. And I drive this every day because this is where I live. So every day this week I've been driving with the Acadia on these roads, and I am by far impressed. This is the smoothest vehicles I've had. I mean, we've been doing reviews for about a year now, so almost every week we have a new vehicle, and this is the one that absorbs it the best. That gives me the best comfort ride in these mountainous roads. in Quebec. So we're talking very bumpy here. We're talking lots of potholes, lots of bumps, some, you know, speed bumps that aren't actual speed bumps just because the roads are crap. And it absorbs this very well. Now, if I'm talking body roll here, if I'm zigzagging around, you're gonna have body roll. That's the kind of tires you have. And this is where it really depends what you're gonna be doing with this vehicle, right? I'm just going to be driving it around from home, point A to point B, going on family vacation. This is where it excels. This is where it's at. And let's not forget that this has Super Cruise. The Super Cruise is such a great function, such a great feature. I absolutely love Super Cruise because for long family road trip, it just takes, you know, the exhaustion out of it. Really, I'm not saying you're gonna arrive to point B and be fully relaxed from your long road trip. I'm just saying it won't be as much wear on your body, on your mind, like, because it just takes it away. We have a review on Super Cruise. Go check that out. But essentially, it's a hands-free driving assist that's on mapped roads, and you just set the speed you want, and hands off, right? It changes lanes, it keeps the speed, it'll slow down when there's a slower moving vehicle, and there's a lane that's free, it's gonna pass it around, it's gonna pass the vehicle. Also, you also have a rear view camera. So if you load this vehicle up to the point that you can no longer see out of your rear view mirror, just flick of a switch and it turns into the camera, and that is no longer an issue. So again, long road trips, if your family packs as much as mine does, you may not be able to see out of this vehicle, but you're still going to be able to see behind you because of this little switch here. Alright, let's see how it does going down this mountain here at a pretty good speed. We'll take it at a pretty good speed, and we'll see how the traction does with these territories. So they're not road tires specifically, but they do handle quite well. I don't have that much road noise. Actually, I have very little road noise. I'm quite impressed. This engine does not make that much noise unless you really punch it. Then it's gonna make a noise that may not appeal to you. Again, these are very bumpy, and it's with intent. I always drive this road with all the press fleet vehicles we get, just to do a proper review of how comfortable it is in an uncomfortable situation. Winding road, not exactly the widest road, but also filled with lots of uneven spots and potholes and bumps. And I gotta say, this one handles very well. Yeah, I'm quite impressed. The ride quality is definitely one of the best I've had. So that's gonna wrap up my driving impressions. I'm sorry I couldn't find more negative points. For those who don't, that's all you want me to find. I got one, and that's basically the engine noise when you actually, you know, push it pedal to the metal. And I'm not saying it's a bad, I'm just saying it's underwhelming engine noise. But everything else, ride quality, ride comfort, soundproofing, really good. Handling, absolutely no problem with it handling. Everything handles great. You're gonna absolutely love this vehicle if you take it for a test drive. Now let's go talk a little bit about price. That was fun. Driving is always fun. Now I'm going to talk about something that's a little bit less fun. Let's talk about the business side of things. Price. Are you guys ready for this? Because let's factor in, I'm just going to soften you up a little bit. This got a lot bigger. It's has more performance, more torque, more horsepower. Definitely more cargo space, more seating room. Everything got redesigned. Everything is much nicer than previous year. So yes, the price is not going to be much nicer than the previous year. It's going to be higher. Let's just get right into it. So entry level, $44,000 in the US is the basic trim. And in Canada, it starts at $55,000. That's quite the jump, but the reason is in Canada, we can only get all-wheel drive, and in the US, you can get two-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, depending on which trim you choose and options you choose to go with. My tester here in Canada will run you about $67,000. That is a fully loaded AT4 with lots of capabilities and a gorgeous interior. That may be a tough pill to swallow for some, but let's face it, this is a mid-size SUV, but we're flirting with full-size SUV capabilities. They're full-size SUVs and the mid-size SUVs, the line is really narrowing down about what the difference are. So they all got bigger. This is maybe one of the biggest ones. There's some controversy out there. The Honda Pilot also got bigger this year. So everybody's going bigger and we're getting really close to full-size SUVs. So that's why the prices is also reflecting getting really close to full-size SUVs. You still have those entry-level trims, but you're gonna be attracted to go with this trim, the AT4. So here we have it, folks. In all its glory, the newly redesigned 2024 GMC Acadia, fresh, new model year, newly redesigned in every aspect. We're not talking a mild refresh here, we're talking a major overhaul. It takes a lot to make it that much longer, that much higher, that much wider. And to change the completely interior and exterior aesthetics of it, it is a whole new beast. Now, here's the final thoughts on this. And I'm gonna take the final thoughts like I do with all my reviews. I'm an outsider, meaning I think more as a family man than I do as an enthusiast when I'm reviewing these kind of vehicles, because let's face it, this is not a sports car, right? So as a family man, I got a lot of pros for these and very few cons. So let's just bear with me. Pros is, this is a truck looking kind of SUV. The size almost rivals that of a full-size SUV, even though if it's a mid-size SUV segment. The interior completely redesigned, but what I'm looking at here is, can this interior, can it be survived going through all the trials and tribulations that my kid is gonna put it through, my wife as well, and when we go on trips, when we go on hockey tournaments? And my answer is, from what I see here, having it for a week, is yes. The materials look tough, but they also feel good to the touch. Everything looks practical. Everything looks durable, from the toggles underneath for the HVAC to the seat materials they use. Not a sight of piano black. So all these scratch surfaces, well, they may not look scratch at first glance. And that's what I want. I want something easy to maintain. I want to be able to easily clean it, wipe it, without having to be worried about, oh, I need to have this kind of material because I don't want to scratch the piano black surface. None of that is to be worried about. Power output, towing capability, everything got improved on this year, and everything matches whatever else is out there, and it performs really great. Handling, well, I mean, comfort, this is extremely comfortable. The AT4 takes bumps like no other. That has to do with the wheels, that has to do with the suspension and everything. Cons, this is an AT4, yet it doesn't have 8 inches of ground clearance. I'd like to have at least an inch extra of ground clearance. I know that affects fuel economy, but I don't care. If you're gonna put this badge on it, to me, having less than 8 inches of ground clearance is a faux pas. Don't do it. Another con that I do have as well resides here. No, it doesn't reside with a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, because I think, you know, who knows how that durability is going to be with the turbocharged engines. We don't quite know yet, because they're so new to this market. The new kind of turbos, I'm not talking about the durability, I'm simply talking about the sound of it. When I rev this engine, it just sounds so underwhelming for what the appearance of the vehicle, the overall appearance is. It looks like a large SUV, yet it sounds like, you know, a little crossover. So that's basically going to be my only con. As far as the price, I think that because you're rivaling full-size SUV, that price may be warranted, but I want to hear from you guys, okay? You guys also keep in mind what else is on the market, and does it compare to that? And the answer for me is yes, it does. Everything went up in price, not just the sizes and capabilities of the vehicle, the prices also went up across the board. To me, this is what I picture when I picture a family-size SUV. I want to hear back from you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support this military veteran doing YouTube channels. And until next time, take care.